speaks the wizard's name.
Shazam!
Billy becomes Captain Marvel, fighting champion.
Confusion, Barry Allen darts away, then flicks the secret switch that releases the brilliant red costume.
Hey guys, how's it going? I just recently got MLB The Show 2020, so I figured that this would be a good keynote for a send-off to transition, right? I usually do Road to the Show, a couple franchises, maybe show off some Diamond Dynasty, go Buffalo Expos, yay. No, I'm just joking. I just got into the show with MLB 2018, and I only started streaming with MLB The Show 2019. And so the way this franchise worked that I'm showing to you guys right now, it happened from November to December. And when I finally got to sit down and get this footage together, I realized something. I lost all my postseason footage. So what you're going to get to see is a little bit of footage from after the championships and, you know, the 2022 regular season play, and you're going to get to see some of the rookies in there as well. So yeah, so the name of the game when it comes to playing franchises, the way I play is I actually don't play any of the regular season. I don't get involved. I only do the GM stuff, some coaching stuff, lineup stuff, and I don't. I take off forced trade. I turn off being fired as a GM because, you know, most of the decisions I make your typical GM would get fired. So I, you know, manage my coach staff. But I watch most of the games, or at least I watch a couple of the games. And I even go down and I watch the minor league games, check out the rookies. I wanted to get invested in this team, and by the time I was done, I really was invested in the Orioles. So it was actually really fun. So the name of the game, when you do this, right, is when you do a rebuild, is you do a suck and dump, right? At least your first year, right? So you can get those draft picks, and you can reposition yourself, and you can work out your money, you know. So I got rid of the high-cost players. Khris Davis, I'm looking at you. You're the first one to go. And I pretty much gutted the pitching staff as well. That was the name of the game in 19. You know, the Orioles were sucking anyway, so you might as well ride the train and, you know, try to reposition yourself. But I didn't want to be in such a depressing mood, so I actually like to scout my first year and pick up somebody that I figure would be just interesting to watch and play. Not somebody I would build a team around, but just, you know, somebody that would just keep me invested, right? So I went out and I looked at Tim Locastro from the Dodgers, and he was sitting at the bench over at the Dodgers, and I picked him up to start at second base, and it was a fun guy to watch. The guy has speed, and he can steal like nobody's business, and it was really fun to have him as a leadoff hitter. My first draft picks for 2019 were also really awesome. I got Steve Durbin, which was like a triple plus player, and Blaine Hu, who was also a pretty plus player. So Blaine Hu was first base. Steve Durbin was shortstop, but I moved him to third base later on, and they showed up at the end of 2021, but I didn't carry him into the postseason. But they did show up for. They did debut in 2022, and you'll probably see them right here during this footage. I'll see if I can point them out and not get distracted. But that's pretty much how, you know, 2019 happened. And I also went and picked out some of the players that I wanted to keep, just to keep some historical reference with the Orioles, because, you know, it's just not fun just to completely gut a team. There's Blaine Hu. That's not Blaine Hu. That's Steve Durbin right there. That's Yokoyama. I'll mention him a little bit later. Okay, so the ones that I ended up keeping was a Trey Mancini, which everybody thought was a good idea anyway. And I also kept Dylan Bundy, which people were like, why'd you keep them? The Orioles didn't even keep him, but I felt some sort of way about him, so I just ended up keeping him. But that's how 2019 went, sucking and dumping. 2020, I went nuts. That's when I wanted to splurge, right? I saw a high-value target on the market, so I went for them, and I found my new Mr. Baltimore. I splurged with Xander Bogaerts. I was just like, come over to Baltimore. We'll give you everything you want, everything you need. We'll give you everything you ask for. and it worked out really well, of course, because he's like a AAA player. Like, I mean, like he's like a triple plus player. That's what I meant, and he carried the team. I also found, funny enough, I also found Dallas Keuchel. Dude, MLB The Show says that Dallas Keuchel did not play the whole 2019. He just sat it out. So I picked him up for cheap, and that worked out really well. For my bench, I also picked up Andy Barrero, and just to, get some good arms in there as well. Here's the real story, though. My Rule 5 draft picks, all of them, throughout this entire time that I did this franchise, every one of my Rule 5 draft picks were not a bust. I'm going to just mention their names because of the fact that they weren't. I had Roger Andersen, right fielder, Thomas Yokoyama that I mentioned earlier, and you saw a picture of him, and Richie Parrish, which was a center. The only thing that was a bust about any of my Rule 5 draft picks was Richie Parrish because he got injured at the end of 2021, so he couldn't even make it to the postseason. But he did carry his position well, and he had a pretty decent bat. My great draft pick was Reggie Prado, and you'll see here in just a moment why. I also traded for more arms during 2020 and got Lucas Giolito, and I put him in the bullpen, and he worked out really well. So in 2021, by that time, we looked pretty good. So I went and started splurging a little bit more. So I picked up Marcus Stroman and Brad Peacock to round out my starters. I also went and got Ken Giles, Mr. Ken Giles. Oh man, that guy was beautiful. He just took out just batters left and right. And Matt Wieters, I dug him up somewhere. He was wasting away someplace in AAA, and I got him for cheap, so that was pretty awesome. I also traded for George Springer, Aledmys Diaz, and I found Wilmer Difo over at Toronto, and I was like, no way, come over to the Orioles, and I picked him up for some defense as well. Now, my Rule 5 draft pick, again, who was not a bust, was Cristobal Vina. It ended up being a really good pick there too, and he did a wonderful job. Now what you're seeing is the last inning of the postseason, and this is the only footage I have for the postseason. I just waited so long to put this video together that I lost all the footage. It sucks. So most of the 40-man roster, or the ones that mattered, I went with the idea of looking for guys that had high plate discipline and high vision, and that was really my strategy when it comes to my bats. And then the rest, I just kind of went for pitchers that, to give a good, solid pitching staff. I had 3 guys that were nasty on the base paths. I was ranked 11th in speed, 14th in contact, 7th in power, and 26th in pitching, and 25th in defense. So, that's what it kind of looked like. My season ended with 96 wins and 67 losses. I just eked my way past beating the Yankees to get into the postseason. We finished with a batting average of .279, slugging of .450, and on-base percentage of .351, with a field rating of 99.1. Bullpen collectively threw for a 3.02 ERA. No one person in my bullpen or my pitching staff was excelling amazingly, except for the closers. But they were at least steady, and I think that's what really made me able to make it to the postseason. So we got to the World Series, and we got to face off against the Phillies, and we got to stick it to Bryce Harper, and that felt really good. As a Nats fan, that was amazing just for me to even do a rebuild, get to face the Phillies and just tear them apart. The Phillies ended their season with 91 wins, 71 losses. They had batting average of .246, slugging of .443. With on-base percentage of .348, and their defense was rated at had a defense rating of .982. With their ERA, their pitching staff came in with .374. So, as a side note, though, the Astros and the Indians didn't make it that far into the playoff season, but they both had win-loss records of 99-63 and 104-58 respectively. So, I mean, you just take that for what it is, right? Okay, so awards. The way we finished our year, the Rookie of the Year was awarded to Cristobal Vina. I told you, not a bust for a Rule 5 draft pick. I did pretty good there. He had a batting, and like his season batting average was 267 with 5 home runs and 35 RBIs. But catch this. This is what I liked about Cristobal, right? He stole 34 bases and only got caught 7 times. I just thought that was fun. Golden Gloves went to Trey Mancini, Renato Nunez, and Cristobal Vina. See, not a bad draft pick, right? Rule 5 at least. Silver Sluggers, Xander Bogaerts. There was like, I don't think that was actually like much of a surprise there, right? I mean, the guy's a beast, right? And Khris Davis. Xander Bogaerts had an average of 273 with 28 home runs and 86 RBIs. Khris Davis did 246 for a batting average, 41 home runs, launching bombs, dude, and then 93 RBIs. Postseason MVPs were awarded to Trey Mancini, Khris Davis, and Matt Wieters. Wow, Matt Wieters, getting him out from the Duggar, getting him out from some hole in the ground somewhere. I mean, that was a pretty cool move right there, right? And then the Mariano Rivera Award went to Ken Giles. So honorable mentions that I'll have to put out there was Reggie Prado, right? I picked him up in 2020, and in 1 year he made it to the bigs as my setup pitcher. That's pretty cool. So for postseason, he showed up with a innings pitch of 4.1 with a whip of .092. I think that's pretty good for your first year coming up and making it to the postseason. His season stats were 80 innings pitched with 2 wins, 1 loss, 6 saves, 28 holds with an ERA of 3.71. His whip was 1.31. I love his K per nines though. They were 10.46, and his walks per nine were 3.49. His hits per nine, 0.79. I told you, not a bad start for 1 year in minors and making it to the bigs. My other honorable mention goes to Lucas Giolito because he held the center of my staff with 163 innings pitched. His ERA was 3.69 with a whip of 1.35. K per 9, 8.21, and 12 wins, 6 losses, and 6 games played. Not bad, right? So the starters you see there, those are actually my batting order as well, and as well as for the bench, as well as for like my lineup, as well as my starters for playing, and those were my postseason bullpen guys. I had to rotate some of them in and out per game because some of them I had to put in some lefties in there. Richard Bleier held it down pretty well too, so he was pretty clutch. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please come back again and watch some of my other streams. I'm going to start some voting for my next franchise. You'll see the little thingy up there here for voting for which way I should go or which team I should pick. I'm going to kind of like, chop it down a little bit each one. Which division should I play, which, so on and so forth. And then finally make it down to a team, and then, I'll announce it a little bit later. So again, yeah, thanks for stopping by. Hope you catch some of my other streams. I also do some other videos for Valorant and Overwatch and such like that. So if you're not into baseball, check some of that other stuff out. Well, all right, man, guys, catch you later.